reorient myself here. Um, Good morning, everyone. I'm Brenna May, and I'm experiencing some blips here, so we'll see if this actually works. I am a wife to an expat, an Australian guy who some of you know, Steve, and we have three little crazy children, and who are 9, 7, 9, 7, and 5. And Steve, this is the first time in our marriage he has agreed to do like a workout with me. So the Q Fit, we are having technical difficulties, I think. The Q Fit app, which launched this month. Let me pull it up here. He has been doing this exercise. Here we go. If I turn it that way, you can kind of see it. This brutal set of exercises. They started off all peachy keen sweet. I'm like, oh, we can handle this. And then this young whippersnapper Kimball has turned it up a little bit. And so we are like sweating and somewhat swearing in the morning before the kids get up. And so it's been really fun, but I'm starting to see my abs again, and that's fun. Always fun. But I just wanted to pop on here real quick and hey guys, hey Nicole, and share why I joined Q Sciences. As most of my friends who I've invited know, I have autoimmune disease. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I also was a missionary on the field for 6 years and spent a lot of time out in like Eastern Turkey and in Morocco and spent some time in Ethiopia and Cambodia. And a lot of places in Europe where you're not as likely to get so many parasites, but I picked up a lot of parasites. I was out in the boonies where part of ministry was supporting long-termers, but also evangelizing and teaching people how to dig toilets. So when you're in villages where you're teaching people how to dig toilets and then they offer you food, you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna get sick. And then you eat it anyway because, you know, hospitality. So, so my health journey in the last few years has been kind of extreme. I was like overrun with parasitic infection that built up over many years. I picked up some when I was an exchange student in Mexico in high school as well, and I hadn't fully gotten rid of all of those. So I have been biohacking myself probably for about 10 years, but more actively in the last 5, just trying to stay alive. And so I'm constantly reviewing ingredients. I'm constantly finding new ways of supplementation. I'm constantly finding ways of paring down my supplement regimen because I should have brought it in here, but my pills that I take to stay alive are abundant. I have one of those old lady granny cases where like each day has 4 slots, and then I have like the stuff that I keep in my nightstand, which is an extra. So like five dose regimen a day. And so I'm constantly exploring, but I was with another MLM company, which I think is truly an MLM. It's an obnoxiously so. And I wasn't totally comfortable with all the products. I wasn't totally comfortable with how they did business. And then I started getting these little texts from my dear friend Tatiana, and I'm like, if she's sending me stuff, then it's serious because she's no nonsense. And funnily enough, at the same time, I had because of my autoimmune disease, I've had lots of people message me, ask me for help with parasite cleanses, with gut cleanses, with autoimmune stuff. A lot of ex-missionaries and missionaries who can't really afford to go to a naturopathic doctor. So I do a little bit of like, you really need to go see the doctor for this one. But I help people through some of those processes. And I had received a reach out from a family member with a degenerative disease, a newly diagnosed one. And so I had been researching nano. Where is it? Here's one of the products that I had been researching. This whole time, Tatiana was reaching out to me, and I'd been reading clinical case studies on nanotechnology. And so when I finally had the headspace to look, because I was in the throes of learning how to homeschool again when she was sending me these messages, I'm like, I trust you, I believe you, I will look at it when I have the time. And I finally got through like the Thanksgiving weekend and into December, and I opened up like the product catalog and started looking, and I was like, oh, it's nanotechnology. Okay, I understand why this is so effective. I understand why she's telling me her hair is growing in thicker. I understand why she is telling me her brain fog is gone, because the thing with nanotechnology is you're breaking down these particles into such a small size that they can be absorbed by anyone. Now, I have MTHFR, double MTHFR. I also have 10 other gene mutations that have to do with methylation and detoxification. So basically, my body hoards toxins. Like, we went up to the mountain for the weekend, and I tried to buy glass bottled water. It wasn't always available. I drank quite a lot of tap water, and I have been sick for several days since, doing my nano TRS, which is another thing to help bind that and flush it out of my system, and doing like castor oil packs to help flush my lymphatic system, because basically my body has a very difficult time getting rid of toxins. But one of the key things in if you have MTHFR is being able to absorb nutrition as well. And so I already struggle with that with foods. I also have inflammatory responses to most vegetables, which is very sad. So having a supplement that basically gives you a lot of the base nutrition and also enough folate instead of folic acid, because folic acid can build up in your system, and basically if you're MTHFR, it can kind of poison you over time. But she was just like, gotta try this, gotta try this, gotta try this. And I started on the QMax. And I've been on methylated vitamins before. I've been on very high quality ones that are compounded pharmaceuticals designed by PhD pharmacists. And I can tell you that this one is excellent. So I have been slowly kind of taking less and less of my compounded pharmacist ones and switching over to this one. But one thing that has been huge, because through diet, I was able to get rid of some of my autoimmune brain fog and things like that with not eating vegetables, sadly, over the last year. But then after March, I'm 99% sure I got COVID. I had all of the autoimmune symptoms that they were saying weren't part of COVID back at the time, but now that the information has come out, I'm like, oh, bruising all over your body, oh, this and that. And I really was struggling with, like, I was reacting to all sorts of things and struggling with brain fog. And I would drink lots of nootropic mushrooms, which I don't have that here, but we have some here, the Armor, which is a nootropic mushroom blend, which basically means that there are mushrooms that have neurotrophic support, brain healing mushrooms, basically. And so, take a breath. I started in on the QMax, and what has been amazing about this, and I understood the science, and I was in before I even took it. Like, I was sold because I understood the science. But basically, they break things down into nano-sized particles. Then each individual mineral and vitamin is chelated and bound to an amino acid, which means that anyone can absorb them. Any person with any gene mutation that would have caused trouble in the past can now absorb them. And the importance of them being individually chelated, which is better than in the past, is that basically each mineral has a different level of chelation, different titration essentially, to make it the most effective. And so they have done the work to make this an extremely effective supplement. And so that is in the Q Core. And I didn't bring that in here either, but I give my kids the Kids Core, which is kind of like taking the core packets without the Align. I cannot take the Align, so I'm not fully doing this experience because I have a level 5 allergy to ginger. But for other people, this has been fantastic. It's been fantastic for my husband. And so far, everyone I have given it to has been blown away. Like, what is this energy I have? And I'm not hurting. And anyway, other things that I won't say here. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that. Like, I was fascinated with the science before I even started. I knew it was going to work, but even after I took it and it started working, it still kind of surprised me, because it's just hard for my body to absorb what it needs. The other things that I have been really enjoying are all of the little sublingual sprays. Okay, the sublingual sprays like the D and the B12. For me, with Hashimoto's, I have to take extremely high doses of D and B12, like 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams / IU in a day. So those are mega doses. And I've been taking my B12 and sublingual tablets. And I had a procedure a few weeks ago where I wasn't allowed to take any of my supplements. And normally I feel like trash if I'm not taking my supplements, because my body's just like, and no, I can't flush toxins. And no, I don't have any energy. And I'm just going to lay down and keel over. But I did the math and I was like, I would have to take 36 sprays of this B12 for it to equal my sublingual tablets. And I was like, I'm just going to take a gander that because it's nano sublingual, it will absorb much better. And I'm going to take half that dose. So I took 18 sprays. Somebody's going to laugh at me. I took 18 sprays of B12 before my procedure because I was meant to be fasting. And I took 8 sprays of D3. And honestly, I felt freaking awesome. I was like, I should be miserable because I hate fasting, but I felt amazing. And so just all that to say, everything that I have been using so far has made an immediate difference. I know for a lot of people it takes 3 or 4 days for them to feel the difference with the Qmax and the Qbiotics, which is also something I take in my regimen now. But for if you have methylation issues, double MTHFR, it's like being a canary in a coal mine. So it was the same morning. Like I took them and I was like, about 3 hours later, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to do with all this energy. And I'm also taking not a full dose of this, the Q Vitalize, because it's quite potent. So I know some people can take all 5 capsules, but I take 3 and I'm about on cloud 9. And I can tell you that it makes my husband happy. And so just to share that. And then the other thing that has been a winner for me, like I came into this company and I have like probably for the last year been trying different neurotropics, trying different hemp oils. I'm one of those people who cannot really get the benefit out of CBD because it's only one part of the entourage effect, only one part of the spectrum, one compound. But the full spectrum hemp oils have been really effective for me, and they do really start to activate in about 15 minutes, which is a big deal if you have my kind of inflammation, because sometimes, I'm sorry, I cannot resist the vegetables. I know that sounds weird. I don't like get inflamed when I make my keto cookies, but if I eat too many Brussels sprouts, I hurt. And so this has been really helpful for that. And the other thing I want to say about our hemps is that they are water soluble. And so I've only ever encountered one other company that was water soluble in Oregon, and we have a lot of different hemp and CBD companies here and cannabinoid blends that are from marijuana as well. It's very common to find that stuff here. It's kind of hard to sort through and find stuff that's non-psychoactive and still effective. But the first ever CBD I tried in Oregon was a very tiny company that was using a water soluble process. It cost me $110 for a bottle this size, and it worked. And then I was never able to find another one again that worked quite that effectively. And so I am someone who, with standard CBDs, sorry, I'll show you some of my old CBDs. I would have to take this one's CBD with it's not full spectrum. I would have to take a triple dose of this. Can you imagine how expensive that is? I mean, at $70, $80 a bottle. And then I would have to take a double dose of this one because it's oil soluble. And those are very good brands. Those are like approved by Forbes and Parents Magazine. But these guys, I can just take a dose, a normal adult dose, and it deals with my pain and inflammation. I think technically, legally, you're only allowed to say that it deals with your exercise-based inflammation. But my personal experience is that it deals with my autoimmune inflammation as well and food intolerance inflammation when I find that I'm not rotating fast enough. I'm talking way too much. And then these two are the things I keep in my bedside table. So this one is a hemp full spectrum that has skullcap and valerian in it. And that has been helping me get to sleep, because one of the other things with my autoimmune issues is that I have a hard time getting to sleep. And then this is like my emergency spray that I use for my children when they won't go to bed either. So that's a little bit about me. I'm very, very excited about this company. I haven't been this excited about supplements ever. Because I just love what they put into them. I love that the man who designed these was with WebMD for, I think he was the editor for 15 years. Somebody correct me on that. But that he's a naturopathic doctor, and I love all the thought that they have put into things in the ingredients and the supplements and the formulations, and that they are constantly improving them because science changes. I hope you all are enjoying your Q-Core packs. I'm sorry if I went off like a frog in a sock, but that's just a little bit about me and why I love this stuff. And it is because it is helping me have life, and it is helping my kids have life, and they are finishing homeschool by midday instead of dinner time because they're on the kids core now. And that's a huge deal for me because I'm not a good teacher and I'm not the most patient person. So that's been extremely helpful. But that's all I'm going to share for now. I see Tatiana's comments. But I will catch you guys later, and we'll be having my posts go out through the day that share other people's stories. All right, bless you guys.